Hey traders, it's Friday afternoon. It's time for the S&P 500 futures chart review. It's 4:37 p.m., 6/14/2019, and we're looking at the weekly. So I just want to run through the bigger time frame charts, and then we'll kind of work off of the intraday chart here in a second, just for completeness. So we had pretty much a doji week. We didn't go anywhere. We traded up and down in this range. You can see we're between these two kind of nodes right here. We've tested the bottom of this node kind of into this node, and we've tested the top of this node. We've built up quite a bit of volume. It could be energy for a complete breakout next week, or it could be a complete breakdown next week. Keep in mind that we have a very thin weak bar right here, incredible up bar, but extremely thin with the volume. Same thing. We ended up, this is actually kind of a positive that we kind of rallied at the end of the day. I don't know, and fairly close to the highs, but nowhere near quite where we were yesterday. If you look at the top of the candle and look over here, we're just basically at the bottom of the volume node up here, and that's where we traded to. And I always talk about, we test bottoms of nodes and then we test tops of nodes, and it kind of seems like we tested the top of it early in the week and then fell all the way back down into kind of this node right here, this little tiny thing in here, and then came back up, and now we're testing the top of it again. And who knows if we break through, but I think 18-point trading range day, and you can see that we traded down. We just traded into this particular little node right here, and if I kind of just take that volume out of it right there, you can see we just traded down into the top of this big old spike. And I'm not sure if I had called that early in the morning, if it had already traded down there or not. We'll have to take a look, but I know I've been looking at the spike and pointing it out. 240 minute, not going to do anything with that. So 60 minute, I'm going to show you, this was over here, and we were looking at the bottom volume. It never quite made it down there. But if you pull this back, right, basically the volume was across this level. And I don't know if you can see that. If you go look at my candlestick course video, you'll see the tops right here. You'll see all the open, the closes right here, the top right here, the close here, the open here. I talk about this in the candlestick video, and see the symmetry and how it lines up real nice with that right there. But I didn't call that this morning. I did point this one out, and it came right within one tick of the kind of the 29 right there. Actually 29.50 right there, 28.99. It was 3 ticks. And so it was real close. It just didn't quite make it, and that was an area that I told you that could be important because it's 2,900. But I didn't like it because it was all early morning volume down here. I mean, it did build up some volume. It was the high volume place, but because some traders only look at regular trading hour, and this is kind of extended trading hour, but most of this is machine anyways. It's algo trading, and of course they see everything on the chart and weigh it in and know where to go. So downside, upside, never quite reached up here out of that range. And I can play you the video and kind of show you the call if you're curious on how I was describing it this morning. So I started doing this because the ranges are so tight. This, you can see 80 down here below, has a lot of volume to it. So here's a spot just right below that if you get down here, you could potentially get a good little bounce off of. So 80 on the bottom right here. This is overnight volume, which I really don't like, because people that just use daily time frames sometimes won't pay attention to this stuff. But it's 2900. That is an important level, and so you could get a reaction because of the round number. Okay, so let's just do the symmetry real quick for the day. Almost reached the bottom down here. You know, traded up, traded through, definitely hit the top bar here, traded back down pretty quick, hit the top bar here, found some support across here. Came up, you can see the red candle where it tried to reject right there, came back up, you can see where they tried to reject it again. You even got a stem on that one right there. Break it through, and we kind of stopped here and 100% range extension back up to the top. But you can see all the way across that the levels are still kind of playing out. Let's look at the intraday. So I've got a bunch of stuff on this chart, but I wanted to show you, you know, basically you had this volume node right here, and that was holding everything basically up at the bottom down here when it traded down. So I just want to be able to expand this out and make some room so that we can look at the rest of the chart here, just so that you know what was basically holding it up down there. So here was the 2900 area. You can see that volume node. We break out and we trade down through here pretty quick, and you can see that we built a good little volume node right here. Came up and tested it again right here, and we break back down, sitting on top of that node. There's one of my scalp lines. Would have been a beautiful scalp even if you would have held one. Worked fine down here on this one right here. Look at that, beautiful to the upside. If you would have caught it on the backside, would have worked again. You know, I wouldn't have taken that one because you'd already tested it, but it worked again. Worked great on the backside again. And scalp line, on the scalp lines, you know, you're only looking to take a point out of the market and get out. You know, they're not buy and hold. If you trade two contracts, you know, you can take profit on one real quick and then, you know, do break even on your stop, you know, +1 from your entry. So it trades up. You can see that we get a nice little rejection off of this line again. I think you would have got your point 28.92, 28.90.50. So you would have got your point out of that one too. Doesn't quite make it back up to the top, but so this comes up, and it's always important. So they always try and break structure, and so they poke it just a little bit beyond that, and it's pretty much the top. I don't know if you can see that. It's the top of this volume node. So, you know, here they've kind of tested the bottom of it, reject, come up, test the top of it. And also, you know, you got a little rejection off of the high volume node right there. Trades through, trades across. This wasn't really a super fast move. So there was quite a bit of volume in here, but you can see on this side, this was a pretty fast move on this side. You know, so not a lot of positions in here. And if you kind of profile, you know, so I like to just profile the swing down so you can see this. And you get kind of an idea. So here's the high volume right here. You know, it kind of tested it here, and this was holding it down, and then they finally broke it up and out. And where did it go? It traded right up into this high volume node right here. Gets another rejection down. We're right on the high volume on the low side right here, and it starts to chug back up. Look at these tails on here. Might lose a little context here, but So this trades back up. You kind of get stuck into this range again. This and this are in the larger context of this guy right here. So if you see right here across the top, you're kind of into this big volume node. So you have a node right here and a node right here, and this gap in between. What I find is this gap is usually the kind of the turning point a lot of times. So somebody has positions right here, and it's usually the high bar right before a big gap, and this is where they do all their trading, is the one right before the gap. And so the reason that the gap is there is because price never trades into it. I don't know if that makes sense. Basically they defend that spot so well and sell that price doesn't quite make it into that area, and so you get a gap between the nodes. It sells back down. Where does it go? You see the high volume area right across here, and hits the line. So all the scalp lines are drawn pre-market. This one would have been considered pretty clean for me, considering that you moved up and you spent time away from it and you came back down. Lined up nicely with the volume that was built. You get your point easily. Hits the other side. You take a little bit of heat right here, but you get your point on the other side too. Trades up. Where does it trade up into? If I look at this guy right here, it trades up into this nice big volume bar right here. So, and then it trades back down, goes through. So it's already tested this, goes through and breaks below. It's already kind of tested this. It tries the breakout. So I talk about big wide bars, and so when you get these big wide bars, you don't get a whole lot of positions in there. So if I were to take this and kind of roll it over here, you see that, you know, basically your volume's all down here and there's nothing up here. So when it rolls over, right? So I'm only to the pivot right here, right? Hope you can all see it. I'm only here to this pivot. I'm only profiling that. That's what that volume is right there. Look at where the volume drops off. This is the last on the up move. This is the last area of kind of volume. It breaks below this and it just falls, right? It's got a good fall to it. That's because there's no positions in here. This is thin. I always warn about these kind of positions, right? So when this is thin right here, it falls back because there's no positions right here, and it falls back real quick, gets down into this volume area, right? And you can see the bounce. You can see the green outline on this candle right here. That means that the delta, there was more buying in the bar than there was selling, even though it's a red bar. They were trying to buy this up. They can't hold it. This is why I call it the 60-40 rule. You're buying in the right location. Everybody else is buying in the right location. You have a 60% chance of it working, but it's going to fail sometimes. Sometimes there's just going to be more sellers that show up and push it through, right? So you're buying in the right location, but it's just a failed trade. Didn't mean to move that. Well, actually, we can move that. Let me move him over. So look at this right here. I'll take the whole profile here. And so I'm on the other side of this. We'll do this whole thing. So look, I've got both this bar and this bar in here. You don't really have any volume in here, and what does it do? It shoots up, goes right up to the top, right through here, right? And so you want to be careful. So when you see these runs like this, if you're you get up here and you go, oh, I'm gonna go long, and it starts to fall, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna hold on, and there's nothing to hold it up, it's going to fall really quick, and you get underwater real quick, right? So you have to be really careful. And this is the same thing, right? It runs up real quick. You got like a little stop right here, but it continues on and goes through. You would have took some heat right here, 92, 93. You would have took a point of heat if you would have tried to scalp that, but you know, eventually you would have certainly got your point out of it. Hits it again and falls away. And I'm working on a course to teach you how to draw these lines and how to scalp them. So we just haven't quite got there. It's a few videos away. Comes back down. You can see that it goes through here pretty quick, right? There's nothing here. See that big long bar? They try and bounce it across the top right here. See where the highest volume is? Comes down, hits the highest volume right here, bounces, right? They try and buy it. It's falling, and they keep on trying to push it back up, but there wasn't really a lot of positions in there. You got to be careful of the wide bars, right? So it sells down. You've got a cluster of volume here at this point. And if I just kind of profile that, where does it go when it shoots back up? Hits right here, right? It sells off. They push it up again. It's right there, and it's just chopping back and forth. It sells back down. Where does it sell back into? It sells back into the cluster, right? If we move this across, we'll probably have a beautiful little bar right there. Trades down into the high volume area, finds support, and it's gone at that point. They get it up and over, and it has a little bit of resistance right here, but this is like end of day kind of stuff, and they always panic buy the end of day, and they shoot it up. You can see it rejects off the line again, but I don't think you got a point out of that. That would have been dangerous. End of day, 130, so 7 to 95. Yeah, there was a point in there if you would have got it, and finds resistance on the other side, trades down. Where does it trade down to? Right onto the line. Finds support. It's gone. It's back up here, right? If we pull this guy over, let's just see. We're probably going to be right into the volume of the node right here. That's where it finds support and trades away. Let me know if this is useful. I don't know if it helps anybody to see how the volume is playing out, and the tips on the long bars and stuff like that. It's all about the volume. I keep on saying that. I just repeat myself. I'll just give up. There's also a video from a couple days ago. It's a chart review titled Trend Lines. I think it's a pretty decent one if you believe in trend lines to go look at and comment on and tell me I'm full of crap or whether I kind of know what I'm talking about. So if you want to look at that. Let me see if I got anything else that I can tell you. It was really kind of a sideways day again, right? Because it was, 14 points top to bottom, I think. And so it was kind of a tough day, but if you know structure and stuff like that, there were some trades in here, and it was definitely pinging off the scalping lines there. So if you like the analysis, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps my channel grow. If you could interact with the comment section, ask any questions, let me know if there's anything that I can cover, questions that you may have. Be happy to answer them. And I hope you have a nice weekend. Hope you had a good trading day, and I'll see you on Monday morning.